So coming towards the contents, we have an introduction. So what is about the cybersecurity and why we have that? And we will be having a glance of the history of the cyber attacks that made the world to be visionable to where we need to be, and what are the advantages of the cybersecurity, and what are the type of hackers that we have, and what are the type of cyber attacks that we have been facing, and if we have the cyber attacks, how we need to protect ourselves, and on what are the steps that we need to take care of. And I will be going into the enterprise security. And once we have a vision of the enterprise security, I will be guiding you that what are all the roles and responsibilities that we have in our enterprise security environment. And if you wish to start a career in that, so I will be guiding you that what are the things that you need to go, and what are the things you need to take care of when you're starting a career in cybersecurity. Yeah, sure. So as the slide mentioned, this cybersecurity is protecting and recovering the networks as well as the services and connected to the network from any type of attack. Yeah, nice. So the term security comes when we are all connected to the network. So when we are moving back to past around by 5 years or before that, the only social media we have to our knowledge is based upon the Google which they have received is the Orkut. So that's the only social media that we were aware. But coming towards now, we have n number of social media where we have our n number of information to be shared, and one we have many kind of applications where we are using it right away, and all are in a portable way. So coming towards a part of an security for that kind of application to be usable is a kind of a question that where we need to have an idea. Are we having an enough secure on our data, or are we having enough details that this kind of information are not shared to any third party members? Okay, so we need to have such kind of a knowledge and such kind of vision, because each and every data of yours is a penny. For example, if you're taking the data of a state or for a person, or if you are trying to share your information with any kind of an enterprise, so it all matters in a cost. So we as an enterprise security, we need to ensure that our data, that our entire enterprise security data, I mean all the data are protected in a way that makes sure that our organization reputation is maintained as well, and we will be having a business coordination with our client to make sure that it is in a well protected way. So the real threat of a database is often not restricted to business interpretation alone, and even that leads to financial loss, but except to a lasting damage where it can have on a brand reputation or on customers trust. So on a recent day, even when you're coming to the one of the e-commerce application where you can see the big basket, I think on around of 3 months ago there was a data breach. So that was one of the major breach where I can guide you in our country as well. So based on that information, that organization reputation has gone down. So it doesn't impact along with the reputation, even financial loss as well. So many customers just step away from that organization because they will be having an awareness whether this organization is having a best impact or a best security enterprise. We can guarantee that. So this is not a one day or a one task activity that we can get it done. So it takes a lot of time and a lot of effort for an enterprise to ensure that our environment is secure. So, as in the last point they mentioned, there are only steps you can minimize it. So there is not a complete way where you can get this address and you can get this result. So that is what is all about cyber security. So we can go to the next slide. That why we are using this cyber security. So this cyber security will be coming into a triage with the CIA, with the confidentiality, integrity, and availability. So to explain this in a better way, I will take an example for you as well, where we can simulate this with an ATM. So it will be a very effective way where you can get the where you can get the understanding. So coming towards the confidentiality. So confidentiality is nothing but only authorized users and the processors should be able to access or modify the data where it provides. So only a particular authorized person or the process need to be accessing the data. So for example, coming towards the example of the ATM. So if you need the two-factor authentication to be done from your ATM. So if you are a first-time user when you are accessing an ATM card, so recent days we are not receiving any kind of an email or a mail from the concerned banking stating this is the first time you need to enter. So all we need to do is that we just need to step into the ATM. We just need to insert our card, and then we need to generate the OTP, and then only our ATM will be activated for the very first time. So this OTP will be make sure that it is available only for the mobile which you have, and then it is getting communicated with the bank as well. So only the authorized person, if you are the authorized person having the mobile in your hand, so you are the person who's gonna get that information. So that is a confidential information. So that is what they are mentioning as confidentiality. And then coming towards the integrity. So how they are mentioning the integrity is that data should be maintained in a correct state and nobody should be able to improperly modify it either accidentally or maliciously. So if you have the data, we need to make sure that no one is going to edit it. It must be handled in a correct way. So let me come into the example where we are in the ATM. So the ATM and the bank software enforce the data integrity by ensuring that any transfers or withdrawals made via the machine are reflected in the accounting for the user's bank account. So if you have an ATM with you and you're trying to withdraw the amount from your end, and when you're just trying to check the balance on the first place, you are seeing that uh, a huge amount of money has been buried. For example, if you are having a bank balance of 1 lakh and if you're trying to withdraw the money for 30,000, so the remaining 70 must be there. So what if we are getting 50,000 as the balance once you took them out? So there comes to the part where the integrity is. So this is a kind of example where I'm trying to say the integrity matters. So we just need to ensure that the data which you're accessing or the data which you're trying to evoke from the specific application or with the any kind of organization that need to be ensured that is modified or it can be done in a very integrated way. And then coming towards the last point, availability. So authorized users should be able to access the data whether they need to do so. So we can have this as an example. So we right now we are having the ATM machine, but when you're just trying to go back 10 years ago, we don't have that accessibility. So all we need to go do is that we just need to reach to the bank, and then we need to ensure that we need to enter our checklist details on that, and then only we can withdraw our amount. But right now we are having the availability of the ATM, so you can withdraw the cash from any of the ATM machines that you require. So that is one of the best examples for the availability. So when you're comparing this with the part of enterprise security, we need to make sure this the triage is very much followed. So we need to ensure that this is maintained so that while we are identifying that, we can ensure that we have the security in the best practice. So what if we are not following this stage? For example, what all will be happen when you're not following such kind of CIA triage? So you can take an example of ransomware. So ransomware is, I think your files will be encrypted. So, and malicious application will be installed on your system. So the encrypted files will be getting in an error message stating that if you need this files to be decrypted, you need to send us a particular amount via Bitcoin. So that's obviously one of the best example where I can say your files have been tampered and it has been encrypted. So without that decryption key, it's not possible. So all you need to make sure is that your application and your system is secure. And then another one of the best example is adware. So recent days we are having many kind of an application. So I think most of the users here might be using the Tor application or any kind of torrent files. So when you're just trying to access such kind of websites, you can see many ads are getting displayed. So how they are getting paid for that? So it is obviously from your end. When you're just trying to view their ad or their website, even for a single second, that seconds matters for them. So each and every amount of your time which is being spent on that particular website or on that particular content, it costs them. It is just being redirected to you. You're not willingly get going and seeing that ad because your time matters to them. So that's one of the best example where I can say. So it will be populated by ads. So if you have a much ads of getting displayed, that is one of the cyber security breach where I can say. And then coming towards the next point is malware. That is one of the biggest thing where we are facing on the recent days. So when coming towards in our country, when in India, we don't have much cases for the malware, but on the recent days, on an average of 3 to 5 years, we can just see a huge amount of malwares are getting detected and the systems are getting infected. So if a malware gets injected into your system, that's it. Whenever you're just trying to access the file from the network, or else if you're trying to share your document to any third party application, or when it is transferred via USB, that malware will be shared. And then recently, when you've been shared about the 5 years ago, you will be having an idea that when the Trump election gets over, so the Facebook has been involved on that. So we do have a separate company. I don't wish to disclose it. Even that has been giving an hands-on to a political affair where the Trump will get into the election and he's in favor of getting went into the organization. So how this information are getting to them? Only with this social media. Each and every view and every type of data that you're sharing. So even that matters. So we need to make sure such kind of actions are prevented. For example, if I'm in an organization, I'm just trying to buy a contract. So what if my colleague is just trying to post an information on his social media? Hey, I'm just trying to get this kind of a deal, and it's giving me an immense happiness. So what if the opposition party or an opposition organization, they are just trying to get to know about this, and they're trying to contact them, and they're trying to get their deal? So we need to ensure that what kind of information are being shared and how sensitive that information is. So we need to validate that each and everything when we are coming into a part of security. So that's the major reason why we have this kind of information, because each and every data and each and every kind of set of information matters. So coming towards the enterprise, we need to evaluate, and then we need to verify that in a very strict way, these things are being monitored. So let's go to the history of this cybercrime we have gone so far. So you'll be quite surprised that there are many kind of cyber attack that has been overgone. So when we are coming towards out of the box here, what are all the images that you have shown? So initially, we might be aware that one of the operating system that we are using is Windows, and another one is Apple, that is Mac OS. So that's one of the leading operating systems that we are using right away. So we have Microsoft CEO when he was just trying to create an application with his team. So he just tried to call to a random number, and he just tried to access that call without any kind of charges. And then he made a call stating that, hey, I just tried to call you without any charges. So that was one of the major attack, or that was one of the first kind of an cyber security breach where we can say. But on those days, we were not aware such kind of terms. They were just in a deal that, hey, I just got into it, but we don't have any kind of definition defined for that. But after that, one of the major issue came, that one of the best example is coming towards the Morris worm, which occurred in 1988. So in 1988, an American student created a worm that morphed into virus, infecting about 6,000 computers. So the estimated damage was around US dollars will be coming into 100 million. So that guy just randomly created a virus that he doesn't know any kind of impact of what serious issues he's gonna have. but that came into an impact about $100 million. I'm saying this about around by 1980. So you just think of the value, how big it will be. And then coming towards the next one is a very interesting kind of a cybersecurity attack that I can go through. So in 1995, a guy named Kevin Paulson hacked into Los Angeles telephone services so that he could win a car on a radio competition. He successfully blocked many of the callers and eventually he won the car. So the deal is that all the users will be calling to that one of the RG station, and then they had a call stating that whomsoever is trying to get us connected in the first place, you will be having a car eventually. So what he did is that he unintentionally blocked all the telephone lines from his end by using the technology, and then he won the car. But after that, the CIA came into picture and they found what was the real issue, and then he was sent into the prison for around 15 years. So that's one of the interesting one where I can say. And then coming towards the NASA attack in 1999, a 15-year-old boy named Jonathan James was able to hack into the US Department of Defense, gaining access to a large amount of confidential data. You can just see that he's just a 15-year-old boy. So we used to call, cyber terms as a script kiddie. Whenever a people or a guy is trying to get into the network or when he's just trying to exploit, and he won't be having any idea that what kind of attack he's gonna do. So in our terms, we will be saying that as a script kiddie. So he just tried to gain access to the NASA US department and he just tried to access a large amount of data. So this allowed him to steal the NASA software that was worth around 1.7 million. So these systems were impacted for around 3 weeks, where it cost the NASA to get it fixed for around $41,000. So even this was one of the best example where I can say. So where the NASA has been attacked. So coming towards the Mafia boy, and even this is similar where a 15-year-old guy only, he just tried, and he's from a high school obviously. So this guy just did mafia boy attack. So it's actually a distributed channel of service. So I will just uh, come into the picture and I will show you what is DDoS eventually. It is nothing, it's a kind of a spreaded attack where a, a distributed attack is made from all over the world, and this impacted the websites, one of the famous websites called as Amazon, CNN, eBay, and Yahoo. And that estimated cost was around 1.7 billion. So that is one of the major attack where I can say. And then coming towards the credit card attack, where I can guide you that what kind of attack is there. So in 2009, a person named as Albert Gonzalez managed to steal millions of card numbers over 250 financial institutions in the US. He reportedly spent around 75,000 US dollars on his birthday party. So you can just imagine, he just threw a out of someone's credit card, and that worth around 75,000 US dollars. So this was one of the biggest credit card fraud in the history of cyber attack. That is, I'm saying about the in terms of credit card attacks. And when you're coming towards the next one, a Stuxnet. Well, this is one of the familiar attacks where all this cyber crime history will be speaking of still now. So we are all aware that the US and Iran are in a very war age where they have been doing this cyber attack from the beginning. So in 2010, a Iranian nuclear facility was attacked by a worm called Stuxnet. That attack destroyed around 1,000 nuclear centrifuges, and Iran blamed the US states and the Israel for the attack. So you see that the USA just hacked into the system. That system is for the centrifugal, which is especially made for the nuclear missiles and the nuclear kind of technology to be created. So they somehow gain access to that, and they have destroyed the nuclear functionality entirely. So these are the one of the biggest attack where we can show and then we can disclose it. So it is not on a one-day basis that this kind of attack is being having. So coming towards in this chart, we can see from 1980 that this kind of attack has been happening. So it's around by almost by 30 years where we can see such kind of incidents are getting detected, and we can see such kind of attacks are being placed. But we can't assure that such kind of incident won't happen, but we can just prevent it. Well, what are all the measures that we can do? So only with such kinds of attacks that we will be having an idea. Okay, we can just try to get this done. That is, we can just cover this kind of attack from our end. So it's all on kind of a learning where we are doing on a day-to-day basis. So that's the history of this cyber attack. And then let's try to move into the advantages as how this will be implemented. So what are the advantages if we having a cybersecurity team in our environment as a part of enterprise security? So the real threat of the data breach is often not restricted to business interruption alone as a financial loss, but even that extent lasting damage that it can have a brand reputation to the customer's trust. As I said, an example for the big basket, it doesn't stop the reputation on the that app alone. Even we as a customer, we are having an negligence that is it fine that we can trust this app moving forward? Obviously, we won't have it. And information security compliance help you to avoid by putting your brand reputation at risk by compelling you to notify customers about a breach. So the first thing is that we need to intimate our customers that such kind of attacks has been happened. So we need to ensure that our clients are protected in the first place. So in the previous slide, I have mentioned that the Yahoo attack has been happened. That is, that attack has been happening on around 3 years on a continued basis. But what Yahoo did is that Yahoo has sent an email to the customer stating that a cyber attack has happened, and kindly you just go ahead and do the password reset from your end because such kind of data breach has been happened. And you are all aware that the Yahoo has been getting into some very serious financial loss, and that Yahoo has been claimed by one of the famous organizations. So even that's the best example how we can see. And then we can concentrate more working on the work rather than security. That significantly increases our productivity. So we can just concentrate on our work very in an effective way. We can just make sure that how effectively we are securing our network. So whenever you're seeing an organization right, right away, so let it be a startup company or that organization has been started about around by 5 years ago, so they will be having a separate enterprise security team where they will ensure that this security is maintained so that the development team can ensure, and then they can do their own way, and then they can be assured that those information and those data are protected. So as a developer or as an organization, we don't need to be worried because we do have a separate team to take care of it. So the organization must keep track of what customers' sensitive information they gather, that they know, and how and where they are stored their data. These requirements compel the organization to adapt and enhance their data management capabilities such that it's not only supports the privacy but improves operation efficiency as well. So you all might be using the famous e-commerce website like Amazon, Flipkart, or whatever it might be. So how many of them are just trying to enter and save your credit card information, or are you just trying to do a cash on delivery, or you're just trying to do that via net banking? So on an average basis, you can say that 85 percentage of the users, they have just saved that credit card on their application. So can you just imagine what if that information has been breached? What if an attacker or a hacker is having such kind of information, and how that can be managed, and on which basis he's going to use? So if you're coming towards the international transactions, even you don't need an OTP as well. For example, when you're just trying to purchase any kind of product or any kind of purchase done from this e-commerce, within your own nation, you don't need, I mean, you must need an OTP to be generated from your mobile so that you can just enter that OTP and then the payment can be done. So that's one of the security. But how when you're just going to the international transaction? So all the international transaction, whatever you're doing from your credit card, you don't need an OTP to be done. You just need the CVV number alone from your card. That's it. All the transactions can be done without any kind of confirmation. So even that can't be backtracked. So all your money can be lost. So as an organization, we need to ensure that if I'm working on one of the e-commerce organization, I need to make sure that how safe that my customer data are protected. So in which encryption way that the information are stored, and how frequently that we are validating from our end that these information are protected and intact, and what are the measures that we are taking if one of the attack has been happened. So we need to think on a wider and largest basis that our customers and our enterprise information is very much protected. So we won't be stopping in one point. We will just go beyond and think out of the box that what are the possibilities that we can make sure to prevent that data, and once it has been exposed to any kind of such hackers, and what are the steps that we need to do. So such kind of things that we need to have a vision from our end. So if you think that the data breaches are minor issues among the organization, then you're highly mistaken. Although the data breaches gets involved in a bigger corporation, but hardly ever recover. The loss for them is a small dent that can't be recovered in the long run. Because even recently, when you have gone through it, one of the major cyber attack that has recently happened is with this SolarWinds. So even major organizations such as Microsoft, Apple, CrowdStrike, we have many Fortune 500 organizations using that kind of application. What I'm saying is SolarWinds, but SolarWinds application has been hacked, and the hackers gained access to all the data where this software is being used by such one of the giant organization, and this is one of the major breach in the history, and this happened just a few months ago. Oh, all I'm saying is about by 2020 December. So you can just go and check that what kind of attack was it, what all get impacted. Even the US Army, I'm saying, is using this SolarWinds application, and even that information has been breached. So when it comes into a protection, there it comes to a very serious issues where we need to protect our information, and we need to ensure that such information should not be passed to any kind of vulnerable hands. So as a corporation, you're likely to have your own website. If your network is compromised, there is a relatively strong risk that your website will be forced into shutdown. So we can see many of the websites that have been gone down by taking this kind of an attacks. So we need to ensure such kind of financial loss will not be happening to any kind of an organization. So we need to ensure that we are well protected on that page.